Welcome to Cut the Crop, keeping you in the know about everything you grow. Researchers, growers and other interesting folk delivering insights and information on topics ranging from agronomy to profitability. Brought to you by the Foundation for Arable Research.
Hello and welcome. My name is Alison Stewart and I'm your host of this session of Cut the Crop. And today we're talking to Bar Hill arable farmer Simon Lochhead. Welcome, Simon. How are you?
Thanks, Alison. Good, thank you.
Yeah, excellent. So, Simon, you're a member of a Growers Leading Change group that's been looking at incorporating sort of liquid injection systems and biologicals into your cropping operations. So before we talk about the Growers Leading Change group, maybe just give a background on your farm.
Oh, sure. We're just between Mackay and Methven. 340 hectare multi-generational family farm. We're just doing what most people do, fattening lambs in the winter and small seeds, cereals. On the arable side of things with a bit of some processed crops and processed peas, partly irrigated from our own well. Just chipping away basically. In terms of farm policies, I mean, traditionally it was quite heavy cultivation with, Clough plough, Duncan grubber, Austin's Cambridge roller and Duncan drill. There's a lot of arable farms in mid-Canterbury were. And then since I came home, I've sort of implemented a bit of a lower disturbance system. We get some very strong northwest winds where we live. And the soil arrived on the wind and will also leave on the wind. And as Dad stressed to me a long time ago, basically the soil can blow away on any day of the year. It doesn't have to be in spring when supposedly it's worse. Any day. When we were sort of still continuing to cultivate everything in such a high windfall wind zone with very light soils, to me, I just thought this is not really where we want to be. And so I started looking at seeing how I could sort of make some changes. We direct drilled green fed oats for winter feed, and they always just came up fine. I was like, well, if we can do this with oats, why can't we just do it with wheat? And then with the ability, we sort of had the ability to change the drill to a John Deere 750A, which is a single disc drill, which enabled much better penetration than the old Duncan. Well, it wasn't a direct drill. We had to cultivate for it and burn everything, get rid of all the residue. Whereas now we had the ability to cut through residue, leave armour on the soil and not have things blow away. So that's sort of the angle where I've sort of ended up going down sort of indirectly just from seeing, our soil's the most valuable thing and ours is very light and prone to wind blow, and I thought we need to change the system to make it, less likely to lose the most valuable asset we've got. And that's why I ended up down the sort of less disturbance route, I'll say. I'm not purely direct drilling, but certainly less disturbance with direct drilling and strip tilling and I also, another thing I use, I call it drill tilling. That's where I use the drill to go through and go through the paddock once and then turn around and drill it the second time, because it's sometimes that actually does quite a good job too. We're on a high residue scenario where there's lots of things that need chopping. It's very good for cutting the residue, and then you go back the other way and on a different angle, and it sort of moves the soil without shifting it and drying it out. So I've done that too in the past. So just and
are you finding that other growers in the same region with the same soil type have tended to move to that direct drill system as well?
I'd say it's reasonably conventional around my neck of the woods. I think guys are, it depends on the crop. Processed peas are a great one where people have been doing this for long enough, direct drilling, processed peas into grass. And that's certainly one where I think there's more done that way now than there are working them up, potentially. I was talking about Waddy's rep the other day. So, I think that's sort of one that guys are looking at doing.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of different tools in the toolbox, and there's no. I certainly don't. As I mentioned, I won't. I'm not strictly direct drilling. It's, to me, spring barley is one thing that I just can't make work direct drilling in the spring. There's some crops that just got to be worked for, I think. But it's getting the balance. Horses for courses, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. And and I think this is something that FAR says regularly, that that you can't set practices in concrete. It's not black and white. You do have to sort of look at the right thing. So let's talk about the Growers Leading Change sort of group. How did it come about, and what is the focus of it?
Well, I think the core of the group, I think, actually arguably started from, there was a red meat profit group going back a few years, that we're sort of a bunch of like-minded farmers who are all kind of on the minimal disturbance sort of approach, and we were sort of looking for other ways to sort of enhance our growing system. I mean, for me, I can see that going forward, we're going to have such restriction in terms of the chemicals and things we can use, and so my approach was to mitigate the risk of that. Was go, well, how can I set up my business so that it's already biologically more robust. So sort of trying to rely on nature and ways we can manipulate biology to try and achieve some of the things that we're doing with chemicals, which are going to be taken off us. Mainly, my main start off down this track with grass grub. We suffer from grass grub really badly at home. Again, light soil. It's easy digging for the grub. We historically were clover seed growers, and so grub just thrive. And we're having to use organophosphates every year to try and keep track of them, and they're horrible things to handle, horrible things to use, and I started looking for alternative ways to control grub, and that's when I came across this. Some of the guys that ultimately formed this group that were trying to sort of look at other ways of doing things. So that's where the Growers Leading Change group sort of spawned from. Wow, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So how many are in the group, and are you all local?
Through mid Canterbury, basically, yeah. Leaston and up to Methven and that. So through mid Canterbury, and there must be, I don't know, I'm not even sure. There'll be sort of 10 of us or so, I think.
Yeah. So what are the things that you've been doing?
Well, the actual group is entitled that it is installed in liquid systems on drills. And to be fair, I'm the worst one. I think I'm one of the few that hasn't actually got one installed yet. But I can see the benefits and the merits of it. And I just haven't quite now to be able to implement the actual infrastructure yet. But a lot of the guys in the group are in various stages of completion of it, and a lot of them have. And it's interesting to see some of the results they're getting with some of the products that they're putting down at Simon.
So what are those products? I mean, is it mainly fertilizers, or are they looking at, sort of, I guess, crop protection products as well? It's
nutrition. So from a fertiliser point of view, I guess you could argue sort of a biostimulant type scenario. The fish fertiliser and kelp and things like that, trichoderma as well. So just a range of different things. For me personally, I've been putting down some bacteria that's for attacking grass grub. There's a lot of different biological things like that people we sort of try and just with the whole chlorophos thing disappearing. It's pretty scary from my point of view. We've got to find a way to try and control grub, particularly for the autumn crops. So it's just trying these different things to see if we can get some that are doing part of a job to enable us to have an autumn crop.
Yeah. And when you say trying things out, sort of, I know that the GLC facilitator has been supporting you in learning how to be able to evaluate, sort of products and systems on farm. What kind of tryouts have you been doing?
Yeah, well, that's been really cool, actually, because what we've ended up doing is basically having our own trials on farm. And again, that started back with the red meat profit one, where we go, right, what do we want to look at this year? And then, we do it. And then, we've got guys down in Leaston, Rakaya, and then up to Methven, and South Canterbury as well. So we end up doing the same trial on everyone's farm all over the different regions. And then that's where the growth leading change group's been great, because they'll be able to help facilitate the statistical analysis of that, and to get a really good look at, these sort of look-see trials that we're sort of doing ourselves and getting some some good results from.
And so you then are sharing it amongst the group?
100%, yeah, within the group, and anyone that wants to know, really. I mean, it's we did one on trichoderma last year, and the year before that it was looking at humate application with nitrogen to see if we can get an increased efficiency of nitrogen with the addition of humates, because that had been shown in pasture. So we're like, well, like a lot of this research, it's all done based on grassland and pasture, and they say, oh, you get whatever response, but it's as we found, it's different in an arable scenario when you're growing the wheat crop, for example. For the humates, you don't, those same benefits aren't necessarily realised. So the easiest way to find out whether it's it's worth chasing the product is to put it in a trial and try. So
yeah,
and that's where the growers leading change group's been really good, because it's given us a bit of structure and direction, and then also, as I said, the access to the ability to do some stats and have the other analysis around it, such as getting the analysis of the soil to see if the trichoderma has remained in the soil. So many of these things you do on a whim and a prayer, and you don't really know. And so it was really cool in that trichoderma trial was to actually have analysis done, and we knew that we had an level of X after the application, and then so we actually knew we'd achieved. What we tended to do was to introduce it into the trial. So that was really cool to actually see.
Yeah. So what are the plans for the group for the coming year?
Well, every year we've got another trial at the moment. This year's one is looking at the use of fish hydrolysate fertiliser in an establishment, and varying rates of it. We just try to keep it pretty simple. So it's generally pick a product, have a control, a rate that we think will be normal, and then maybe double it, just to sort of and try and keep it relatively simple, because the reality is, when you come into harvest, you're always harvesting that paddock at 3 a.m. in the morning with a tiny window of opportunity. It's generally all going pear-shaped. So we've learned you got to try to keep them really simple, and don't try and do anything too drastic, and just use them as a bit of a look-see. And if something comes out of it, then maybe look to investigate it more in depth subsequently. But yeah, it's good just as a bit of a look-see, as I said.
Yeah, and I think that was the whole idea behind this sort of, the tryouts was, farmers trying different things out on their farm. And if then anything popped out that looked promising, then they could continue to look at it. But then FAR could also, pick it up and start doing some, research trials on it. So it's a nice feedback loop, because normally we do trials and then we try and just, sort of get them out to the growers, whereas now we've actually got the growers doing some tryouts, and that might inform our research. So it's a nice little loop.
Yeah, and I mean, from my point of view, it means that an area that I'm interested in, or we get to go and try it, and then we end up potentially getting research done in a specific field that's up my alley, I guess. So that it's good like that. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, the fact that I didn't have, some of the guys applied this obviously through the drills because they've got their liquid system, whereas I just had to go out there in the rain and spray it on. So which wasn't perfect, but I ended up putting on an inch of rain, and for the first time in my life, I had the biggest capacity drill because mine was 24 metres. So that was nice for a change.
Yeah. So the inject, most of the growers in the group have actually sort of embraced the injection system, and they've got some form of injection system. Yes. Yeah.
And they range from expensive off the shelf imported out of Australia to ex-engineer done with off the smell of an oily rag, but still very, very effective. And that's the cool thing, is like we've got the full range within the group of ways of achieving this. And it makes you realise that depending on your situation, you can either pay to have it done, or not really have a lot of cost in terms of building it up yourself. So it's there's more than one way to skin it. So.
And so what was the rationale? Like, had you read something that said that, injecting liquid fertiliser into the system was going to be more effective from a performance point of view than a solid fertiliser? Or was it just related to ease of management and, reducing, any sort of cultivation? What was the idea behind let's look at liquid injection?
A bit of both, and also the ability to deliver the biological products and the other less conventional products. It's a lot simpler to do it as a liquid, and also there's often sort of low volumes of product you're trying to put in trace elements and things. They can easily get lost in a big mix. If you're putting a couple of 300 kilos of fertilizer down, but you only just want to target a trace element. How well is that mixed? Whereas with the liquid, the volumes are less, and it can be more targeted. And as I said, it's a much better system for delivering some of the biological things. I know at the moment I'm using it's a powdered format, the bacterium for attacking the grass grub, and it's a pain because you've got to dust. Your seeds in half-ton bags, and you've got to get 150 grams per hectare across the seed. So you're dusting dust and transferring from one bag to the next, and then into the drill. And it takes a lot of extra time, and it's always blowing wind. And then you buy all this powder that then blows away when you drop it out of the bag into the drill. And whereas the guys that are doing it with liquid, they can have that all organised the day before, mixed up, ready to go, and they're squirting it down the slot into where it needs to be, rather than me trying to dust it on half-ton bags, transfer it from one bag to another, tip it in the drill, and have half it blow back in my face. So it's a usability thing as much as anything.
Excellent. Now, just to finish off with, you were one of a group of growers that went off to Victoria in Australia to attend a no-till conference, and then also to visit some farms. So tell us about that.
That was awesome. It really reinvigorated my desire to be an arable farmer. You could escape New Zealand, all the regulation, all the rubbish, and go over there and listen to them, how they, what they do, and how they go about it. Completely different system. Again, the liquid fertiliser and liquid applications on drills at seeding is so much more advanced, and it's just a normal thing for them. So it's a great place to go and hear their experience. Some of those guys are at the point where they're actually brewing up their own fertilizers and selling them commercially. It's a different avenue, but there's a lot involved, and certainly a lot more further down this route than what we are here. So it was really, really good to go and see a different way of attacking things. And arguably you say, they got lower yield potential, therefore they don't need the volumes of the units, and so it leads themselves towards liquid rather than solid. But they're still using solid too, and they're talking more just about starter fertilizer as well too, just to get things up and away. It was really cool. And the Vic No-Till as an organisation was awesome, very welcoming, and the calibre of the guests they had there. From abroad, from the UK, from all over the shop. It was an awesome opportunity to go over there and learn. Even not only just from the agronomy and the management to the liquid injection with drills, the sap testing, foliar fertilizer application, even an aftermarket disc that I could put on my drill that will help me cut through the trash better that's not available here. Just right down to the physical mechanics of getting in the ground. It was all it had everything covered. Yeah, it was really good. It was fill my notebook.
Oh, excellent. And I mean, that really, is now that, COVID hopefully is over and done. I think that's what we want to do. We want to be able to get our growers, out having a look at other farm systems in New Zealand, but also, getting across the Tasman to Australia and potentially even taking them, further afield, because I think that's exactly how growers love to learn, by going and seeing what other growers do and, picking up gems of wisdom.
Yeah, 100%. Their motto, Vic No-Till, is farmers helping farmers, and they were so forthcoming with the information, and they were it was so cool just to get on farm and just go and see these guys afterwards and what they're doing. And I'd have to put in a plug for FAR here too. That in terms of the way that was organised was perfect, because yes, we had to pay our own way and all that. That's fair enough. But the thing that FAR did as part of the Growers Leading Change was they organised the van and the logistics and teeing up all the farmers to visit, and it was that logistical side of things that as growers we just didn't have time to organise, and the value on that was immense for me, because I just didn't have to think about where I was going or what was going on. It was all just teed up, and we got to see all those growers and other reps and all sorts of industry people that FAR had contact with, and would never be able to achieve that myself. And so it was it was really good.
Excellent.
Just getting out there and making the most of it.
I'm glad we do something well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't required to give you that little thumbs up, but it is worth a mention, because it was a fantastic trip, and you made the niggly bit go away, which is the major hurdles to doing that sort of thing. And also we got a lot more out of it than what ever would have tried to do that kick around there by myself, going to the conference and then go and drive around and try and look at stuff. So it was really good.
Yeah, excellent, great. Thanks very much, Simon. Great to hear that the Growers Leading Change group is still active, and you've still got things to do, and you're reinvigorated to be an arable farmer. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. We need some encouragement from time to time.
Absolutely, great. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thanks for the time.
And thank you, listeners. Have a great day on the farm.
Thanks for tuning in to Cut the Crop, presented to you by FAR. If you'd like to know more about any of the topics discussed or have any suggestions for future topics, go to www.cutthecrop.co.nz.